people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Michaela Mayer versus Chantel Cameron. Fight of the year?
It could be.
Fights like this don't come around very often. It's not just that two genuine pound-for-pound fighters are fighting each other this weekend in Birmingham that, in this modern era of avoidance, should be celebrated, but it's the fact that they are fighting at the peak of their powers that adds even more credence to a fight that is, without much doubt, the most important fight to be made in women's boxing this year. And it's another example of what made women's boxing boom in the last decade or so, that it's a bit easier to get the pound-for-pound girls to fight each other than it is to get the pound-for-pound guys to fight each other, and the women should never lose sight of that, because the men often do. This isn't two faded fighters looking for one last payday on the way out the door, one last dance, one last appearance under the bright lights. It's a fight about legacy, a super welterweight unification showdown with 3 world titles on the line. Michaela Mayer and Chantel Cameron will do battle for the WBC, WBA, and WBO junior middleweight baubles. Mayer is promising a fight of the year contender. Cameron didn't dispute that point. In truth, nobody did. How could they? It almost certainly will be exactly that. Mayer has treated us to modern-day classics with the likes of Maiva Hamadouche, Natasha Jonas, and those 2 fights with Sandy Bryan. Cameron is no stranger to those kinds of fights either. 2 relentless battles with Katie Taylor that will live long in our memories. It's extremely difficult to see any other outcome than Mayer and Cameron delivering another brutal offering. Whoever wins, victory is likely to come at a price, the kind of fight where every success will be hard-earned and repaid in kind. It is a fight that deserves the full glare of the boxing media landscape, but a certain British heavyweight fighting on the same night in London will almost certainly grab the headlines if he is crowned the new heavyweight champion of the world. But that shouldn't diminish the importance of what Mayer and Cameron will undoubtedly serve up on Saturday night. The better fight will almost certainly be in Birmingham.
I agree with that. And I don't like comparing the women to the men, but 2 separate cards running parallel to each other, you sort of have to. Which card gives you more bang for your buck? And I think it's the MVP card, more than the Queensberry card.
Mayer feels that she is unbeatable and is already looking ahead to possible fights with Clarissa Shields, Lauren Price. Cameron is also brimming with confidence, starved of the big fights and the headline status since that painful rematch with Katie Taylor in 2023. Cameron looks in the same mood that she was when she ruined that initial Taylor homecoming, a famous victory that never got the attention or the credit it deserved. MVP deserved credit for nights like this. Other than the likes of Clarissa Shields, Lauren Price, and Gabby Fundora, most of the elite female talent are now on the MVP roster. They are now fighting each other, with more to come. Ellie Scottney is stepping up to featherweight to challenge Tiaria Brown. And Alicia Baumgartner is finally having a fight of real jeopardy against the dangerous Elif Nur Turan when she steps up to lightweight. Both fights are on the same November card after a period of stagnation not so long ago. MVP have revitalized the female side of the sport. Is Jake Paul saved women's boxing? He just might have. Saturday night will be another celebration for women's boxing. Caroline Dubois and Terry Harper will form part of the undercard. Last time, they fought each other. Now, they are in separate paths. Dubois wants undisputed next year. Harper is chasing a world title in a 4th division. A nice little starter before the main course at the top of the card. Mayer and Cameron won't disappoint anyone. However it plays out, it could be close, it could be controversial. One fighter might win a lot easier than many expect. Either way, it will be exceptionally good. Even the heavyweights doing their thing 100 or so miles away will do well to match what Mayer and Cameron give us. The truth is, They won't.
Categorically, Mayer versus Cameron is a fight between two more accomplished fighters than, say, Moses Itelma or Filip Prgovic.
As neither of them have ever been champions before, whereas Michaela and Chantel already have and already are.
Distribution also matters.
One of these cards is tucked away behind yet another paywall, and one of these cards is not, making the other card much easier to get to and enjoy, which is what boxing needs to go back to if it is to ever return to the mainstream.
Mayer versus Cameron almost guarantees Fight of the Year performances from both combatants, irrespective of who wins, because of their propensity for banging in the booth, their propensity for violence.
And I think Michaela's gonna win it, but irrespective of who does, it promises to be one of the more fan-friendly fights that happens this year. Simultaneously, one of the more affordable ones.
And that's value for money.
Yet another fight that was recently announced that isn't tucked away behind a paywall is the upcoming Floyd Schofield versus Lucas Bahdi / Oscar Collazo versus Ricardo Sandoval fight set to go down in Chicago October 10th.
So they finally made it, they finally announced it, and we finally know who's going to be at the helm of the promotion. Golden Boy will attempt to send a second fighter to a lightweight title within 2 months on October 10th, when unbeaten Floyd Schofield, quote-unquote Kid Austin, meets Lucas Bahdi for the vacant WBA title in Chicago.
The card's co-main event is a compelling unified flyweight bout pitting WBC WBA champion Ricardo Sandoval versus Puerto Rico's long-reigning strawweight champion and pound-for-pound star Oscar Collazo in the bout to replace vacated and legally troubled former champion Gervonta Davis. Schofield attempts to claim the belt from Canada's WBA number 2 ranked Bahdi at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. DAZN will stream the card with pre-sale tickets available today via Ticketmaster. There's been enough talk outside the ring, and now I'm ready to let my fists do the talking, Schofield said in a prepared statement. I've worked my whole life for an opportunity like this, and I'm just one fight away from accomplishing my dream of becoming a world champion. I know Lucas Bahdi is coming to fight and will bring his best, but I'm prepared for whatever he brings on October 10th. It's time to settle everything inside the ring and show the world that I belong at the top of the lightweight division. I'm coming to put on a show and leave Chicago as a world champion. Bahdi, who was impressively mounted and underdog pursuit of the belt that included a 2024 upset win over Ashton Silva on an MVP show, now is one win away. I've been waiting to fight for a world title since the first time I laced up a pair of gloves. I'm extremely appreciative for this opportunity and can't wait for October 10th in Chicago, Bahdi said in his prepared remarks. Promoter Oscar De La Hoya, who witnessed his lightweight from Mexico, William Zepeda, capture the vacant WBC title August 1st in Las Vegas over Lamont Roach, said this battle of unbeatens should give his promotion another strap. Floyd Schofield is just one fight away from becoming the WBA lightweight champion, a feat every fighter dreams of accomplishing, De La Hoya said in the fight's announcement. He has a tough test in front of him in Lucas Bahdi, but we're confident Kid Austin will rise to the occasion and pass with flying colors. Both men are coming off over a year of inactivity. Floyd only fought for one fight and one round in all of last year.
Most of this one is gone.
This will turn out to be the only fight that either Floyd or Lucas have the entirety of this calendar year. The co-main event is going to be a barn burner also, with Ricardo Sandoval defending his unified WBC and WBA flyweight world titles against one of Puerto Rico's finest, former WBO, WBA, and Ring Magazine minimum weight champion Oscar Collazo, who is going up 2 divisions to face Sandoval. Chicago will be on fire with this card because it'll be a Golden Boy versus MVP show, and everyone knows nobody builds and develops fighters like Golden Boy.
MVP founders Jake Paul and Nikisa Badarian say Bahdi has earned his moment. He has proven himself as one of the most dangerous and talented contenders in the lightweight division, and now he has the opportunity to achieve his lifelong dream of becoming a world champion. Paul and Badarian said, "We believe Lucas has everything it takes to bring the WBA lightweight world championship home to Canada.
I wondered for a long time who was going to be at the helm of this promotion. Would it be MVP or would it be Golden Boy? And as it turns out, it looks like Golden Boy is more invested in Floyd Schofield than MVP is invested in Lucas Bahdi. That's why Golden Boy are the ones doing it.
It's a genuinely good fight.
If you've been tracking the progression of Lucas Bahdi as a contender, you'll know that he's been in there with some good fighters. Ashton Silva, former champion Roger Gutierrez.
Now, Lucas probably would have stood a better chance of winning if this were an MVP show and not a Golden Boy show. The way I see it, the only way he wins is if he takes it out of the judge's hands and does to Floyd Schofield what he did to Ashton Silva 3 or 4 fights ago.
He's got to knock him out as far as I'm concerned. The saving grace is he might.
You know, Floyd Schofield has actually been caught and sat down on the canvas before by a lesser fighter, a lesser puncher than Lucas Bahdi. That Floyd is no defensive wizard. He's an offense guy, like Lucas is an offense guy. So when both guys are throwing punches at the same time, anything can happen. Though if I'm leaning a little bit towards Floyd, more than I'm leaning towards Lucas, it's because Floyd is younger.
He does look faster to the eye, more explosive.
Now, him and his father are insufferable at times, but if we're just going to evaluate the fight, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Floyd Schofield than I am Lucas.
The belt situation.
The WBA title has been out of the rotation at lightweight for some weeks and some months now. This will give Golden Boy Promotions and their stable another lightweight world champion, strengthening the stable.
We've talked a great deal about how Golden Boy Promotions seems to have a whole lot riding on Ryan Garcia, who in the not-so-distant future might leave them. Virgil Ortiz, who's always addled with problems, whether it's health problems or legal problems.
That you can't rely on either of those two guys to put the promotion on their back and carry it the same way that Canelo Alvarez did for so many years.
And so you have a newly minted champion in William Zepeda. Very soon you may have another in Floyd Schofield, giving Golden Boy Promotions someone else and something else to build upon.
Instead of Ryan and Virgil.
Because Golden Boy Promotions reached an extension with DAZN some months ago, you have to think about the state of the stable by the time that deal ends, to where if they have a fresh new crop of champions in their stable, that's all the more reason for DAZN to keep them on board.
Maybe even give them a little bit more money. If they have a stronger stable, that would give them a reason to.
In the co-main event, you have Oscar Collazo, who's a damn good fighter, against Ricardo Sandoval, a unified champion. It's an underrated fight.
Underrated because in this part of the world, Americans don't normally take in straw weights and minimum weights and flyweights.
This is not the ideal market for fighters who campaign in those divisions, but this is the ideal use for those kinds of fighters.
You know, they tried to put Oscar Collazo in a main event and it was abysmal. You could look out into the audience and see all of the empty seats. Unfortunately, he's just not popular enough to be headlining shows, even though he's very good. But as a co-main event,
it's a much better strategy. Introduce all those people who might be tuning in for the main event specifically to Oscar Collazo, and they might like what they see. Get him popular that way.
It's a good bit of promotion here from Golden Boy, and it helps a great deal that this is not tucked behind a paywall. This is not a pay-per-view, nor should it be. There's been far too much of that going around.
Overall, this is a solid card, and I'm really looking forward to it in October. Finally, in men's light heavyweight news, the WBO confirms Dimitri Bivol and Callum Smith have agreed to fight terms. The WBO revealed that Bivol, its reigning light heavyweight champion, and Callum Smith, the interim belt holder, have sent a written statement confirming that they have agreed to fight next. According to RCC Boxing, Bivol's co-promoter, and Matchroom Boxing, Smith's handlers, also have a date and venue in mind. Initially, the WBO gave both parties until August 27th to agree to terms or a purse bid would ensue. Dmitry, who also holds the Ring Magazine, IBF, and WBA titles, was hoping for a bigger fight. The 35-year-old from Russia shook off a 15-month absence following back surgery to win a lopsided UD over Michael Eifert, his then IBF mandatory challenger, this past May in Russia. Soon after, Dmitry underwent elbow surgery, said he wanted to close out the year with a fight against Artur Beterbiev or the WBC champion David Benavidez. Bivol and Beterbiev handed each other the first defeats of their careers after a pair of fights in 2024 and 2025. Beterbiev won their initial meeting by majority decision in Saudi to become the light heavyweight undisputed king. That reign, however, was short-lived, as Bivol won their rematch by majority decision 4 months later, also in Saudi. Bivol would eventually vacate his WBC title, which led to Benavidez being elevated from interim to full belt holder as he pursued a third fight against Beterbiev.
David Benavidez has been WBC champion for what's gotta be a year now, and they're not bogging him down with mandatories the way they did Dmitry immediately following him becoming WBC champion, that not but 2 weeks later, they ordered him to satisfy his mandatory. Why don't they do that to David?
Because Artur Beterbiev's ranked at number 1. To do that, they would have to order David to fight Artur or give up the belt.
And they don't want to make him look bad. Given that he's a unified cruiserweight champion now, it's highly unlikely that he will ever fight as a light heavyweight again.
So every day and every week and every month that the WBC allows him to hang on to that title, knowing full well that he's never going to defend it, they're holding up this division and depriving Artur Beterbiev of an opportunity to become a 2-time light heavyweight champion, because he's right there. He's in position, ranked at number 1.
Now, as for Callum Smith, he'll get his chance to become a 2-weight world champion very soon. He actually already got one with Artur Beterbiev when they fought. Remember, Artur was the defending champion. Artur stopped him.
The 36-year-old Liverpudlian and former Ring Magazine and WBA super middleweight champion hasn't fought since beating Joshua Buatsi for the WBO interim title in February of last year in Riyadh. He was originally ordered to face David Morrell, with the winner being given a mandated shot at Bivol's light heavyweight throne. However, Smith was forced to pull out of their April 18th bout due to an injury in training camp. Instead of waiting for their fight to get rescheduled, Morrell fought Zach Chelly on May 9th. The Cuban was stopped in the 10th round and prompted the WBO to then order Bivol versus Smith.
Sort of a stroke of luck for Callum Smith that withdrawing from the mandated Morrell fight did not cost him his spot as the mandatory. He got lucky.
But the night of the Bivol fight, his luck will have effectively run out, because it's actually closer to 2 years from Callum's last ring appearance.
This past February marked 1 year from the Buatsi fight, whereas where we are now, we're closer to next February than we are last February.
Dmitry Bivol is not the guy you want to go in there having to shake off ring rust and coming off an injury. I never liked Callum's chances in this fight, much less now, given what he's coming from. The outcome seems all but a foregone conclusion. I don't think Dimitri's going to knock him out, because Dimitri's not a strong finisher. He's not a knockout merchant. What he likely does is win a lopsided decision against the hapless, noticeably slower, and inactive Callum Smith, who won't know what to do with him.
This better not be a pay-per-view.
Because Dimitri's last fight wasn't, the one promoted by the Russian Copper Company, one against Michael Eifert.
Even if Callum Smith is a bit more well-known than Michael was, all the same, he's coming off a long stint of inactivity, and this fight does not represent such a great value that you should have to pay extra to see it. Hopefully, we won't have to.